he looks like a guy who by his second year could sneak into the All-Star debate. He's that influential.
So let's go to Evan Mobley, Mort, of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes.
Currently the Rookie of the Year favorite at FanDuel Sportsbook, ahead of Jalen Green. Mobley is a plus 300. Jalen Green and Scottie Barnes are a plus 400. Cade Cunningham is plus 450. The next closest is Chris Duarte, who we'll get to later. He's at plus 1,000. So,
wait. Jalen Green and Scottie Barnes have the same odds?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. Yeah. All right, we'll get to that when we cross Scottie, I think.
I think that's just baked in, the preseason odds baked in here, so they don't want to pivot too hard based on a 10-game sample size. But the odds are not aligned with the Rookie of the Year leaderboard if you had to make it today. I'll say that much.
I mean, usually I would never extend an invitation to Raptors fans to get upset, because when that fan base gets upset, it is lunacy. But you know what? Be upset, Raptors fans. It's okay. I'll definitely allow that one. That's fine.
They're too busy still defending Kyle Lowry, even though he doesn't play for their team anymore.
Oh, God, you had to do it, didn't you? All right. Yep. All right.
All right. Mobley.
Thank you. Mobley. Okay, so the Cavs are good, which is very weird to say. Well, okay, Lauri Markkanen went down, so it stands to reason.
But they're 7-4. And I think this is a good time to talk about them because Colin Sexton just went out with a torn meniscus. He's out indefinitely. So it wouldn't surprise me if they fall back in the pack a little bit. But yes, right now they are. I mean, they've beaten the Raptors. They've beaten the Knicks. They've beaten the Hornets. It's not like they're only beating, and they beat Denver, Atlanta, Clippers, Portland. Like, they picked up wins over potentially good teams here too. And Mobley is a huge part of that so far, averaging almost 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.3 blocks, 1 steal, shooting 52 overall. Not a high volume 3-point shooter by any means, only 17 attempts on the year, but he's hit 4 of them. So it's at least part of his game. But I think the thing that stood out the most is his defensive versatility.
Right.
When you raise the question of, especially when they signed Markkanen, and like, how the hell is this Markkanen, Mobley, Jarrett Allen front court going to work? Well, if Evan Mobley can defend every position, it actually is more viable than you thought it might be heading into the year.
Right. And nobody really anticipated that he could.
Right.
Like, I think people kind of looked at Mobley and said, in year one, there are going to be these games where he looks fantastic, and most of the year he's going to look somewhat average, and he's going to be a project like 2 or 3 years down the line. That's when he's going to hit his stride. Like, he looks like a guy who by his second year could sneak into the All-Star debate. He's that influential. The way that he guards in space, the way that he rotates over at that young age, and with that lack of experience overall is absolutely insane. I mean, he has a real shot at being the best player in this draft. Again, I still think it's Cade, but the chance is there. And if not the best player of the draft, he's certainly going to be one of the best. I mean, he's right up there. I think when we, you and I do our redrafts once in a while, in 5 years, when we're in season 11 of this podcast, which is insane because we're definitely going to do it. Sure. We're weird enough to do it. I think he's going to rank super, super high, and we're going to look at him and like list off a resume of all-star games and all NBA teams and all defensive selections. Like, he's going to be that type of dude. But just go back to something you said, like that we should get our praise in for the Cavs right now because now Colin Sexton went down and all that. I really love Colin Sexton, but Brian, I think they might be better with this news coming out. I think it might be time to kind of just pivot into the Darius Garland era and kind of let him and Mobley just wreak havoc from here. And I say that as someone who really likes Colin Sexton. I don't think Colin Sexton is at fault for anything, but the fan base clearly has a problem with him for whatever reason. He seems to not be super engaged for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I think it might just be time now.
To trade him, or
yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the meniscus probably isn't helping in that regard.
No, it's not. So it would be down the line, of course. And I know that he's a restricted free agent at the end of this year. But and again, I think he's played some part in them being good, but I don't think he's played a crucial part. I think they are trying to pivot away from him a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know if he fits this roster. And that's not on, again, I cannot reiterate this enough. I don't think that's on him.
Right.
I just think they have done him a disservice of always letting that fan base just really crap on him at every opportune time. And like the media hasn't really been very gracious towards him as well, despite him having to drag a very lowly Cavs team for so many years. Now I just think it's better for both sides if they just kind of split and just give the ball to Darius Garland, make him more high usage. He's really good, by the way, and for whatever reason, he's only taking like 11 shots per game.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that Mobley and Garland should be their two clear building blocks, and if they need to move away from Sexton, that makes sense. I wouldn't go so far as to say they're going to be better off without him, at least unless they trade him and get something back for him. But I don't know that they have the reliable backcourt depth. I mean, Ricky Rubio has been playing really well for them.
Yeah. And I baked that in, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, do you think they start Rubio next to Garland, or maybe they do like Isaac Okoro at the 2? Because I know there were quotes coming out yesterday saying their head coach was saying that's the position he thinks is best for Okoro. So like maybe we have this like Garland, Okoro, and the 3 bigs once Markkanen's back in the fold as well.
I mean, whatever they do, if it's Rubio, if it's Okoro, either way, I think it just might help them in the long term because neither of those guys are shot hungry. Mm-hmm. Sexton is, which isn't a problem in and of itself, but I just think they need to funnel more shots towards Garland and Mobley. And if Ricky Rubio is there to act as a secondary passer initiator, and of course they can stack or hit him Garland a lot.
Right.
Then you could sort of have a scenario where either Garland or Mobley is constantly being fed, whereas now those guys are feeding Sexton a lot, and you just wonder what his place in the offense is going to be moving forward. So, yeah, I can get behind saying that maybe they don't get better with Sexton out, and it's not to put him as a bad player. That's not what I'm saying. I just think the offense might be better tailored around Garland, Mobley, and with players who can sort of fit into that twosome.
Yeah, I mean, Jarrett Allen, to his credit, has also been playing incredibly well so far. So
yes, he has.
I think there is a long-term, if you Mobley, Allen as the long-term front court, Garland as the long-term point guard, figure out what to do with the 2 with the 3, because Markkanen is not the answer there.
Right.
But they're like, the Cavs do have a very promising foundation in place. Mobley, I think it's safe to say, is their best player and is the franchise centerpiece. And there's always that conversation, especially high up in the draft, of it's risky to take a big in today's NBA. Like if all things are equal, you're going to lean guard or wing over a big. Mobley's proving to be the rare exception to that.
Right. And I know why, because and this applies to Scottie Barnes as well. So I might as well just lump those 2 guys in together. Yeah. You know how you and I have had, mostly me, have had that power forward talk for the past couple of years, where if you can't defend and if you can't play make and if you can't shoot at least to some extent, you're just not going to be much of a quote unquote power forward. Like that's not in your cards. You're going to be a not necessary addition to a team, like Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen was ironically the guy that I brought up all the time. Evan Mobley can handle the basketball. He can pass the ball. He can defend. He can shoot. I understand he's only shooting 23.5% from range, but you know what? That is no indication of his long-term effect as a shooter. He is going to be a good shooter. It's very clear. He's very decent from the line. Another strong indication. He can finish around the basket. He is that guy who can do everything. So he can slot himself into that power forward spot as a new age 4/5 who can play both positions. So here we won't have that issue of the traditional two big men scenario where they're kind of overlapping. Because Mobley can do everything, and then we have Jarrett Allen, who's mostly a defender, but who will get opportunistic baskets here and there. Like, that just fits. That's a perfectly suitable and fine pairing even in the year 2021.